talk behind my back. Don't you know that's whack? It's a personal attack. Oh, snap.
Hello, this is Greg the Mule, founder of WrestlingDivas.webs.com. I am here to conduct my first and exclusive audio interview on behalf of my website. Joining me today is Megan, better known as the Magnificent Megan Plastic in the world of professional wrestling. Megan is a pro wrestling manager who has worked for numerous wrestling organizations all over the United States. Recently, Megan has announced that she will be a part of Jimmy Hart's all-female wrestling television show, Wrestlelicious. Megan, thank you so much for joining me today. It's a huge honor.
No, thank you. You made me sound really awesome in your intro, so thanks.
So, for those who have checked out my website before, know that I have interviewed you once in 2010. A lot has changed since then, and we'll get to that a little later. First, I want to rewind time a little bit and discuss the beginning of your career. Did you watch wrestling growing up, and who were your favorite performers?
Yeah, I watched it like all the time when I was little. I don't even remember how old I was. I've just like watched it forever, basically. My favorite wrestler was Bret Hart, and I guess because my favorite color was hot pink. So my favorite color has been hot pink since I was really little too. And I just loved that he had little hearts and little stars all over his office.
What was your most favorite aspect about watching wrestling while growing up?
I liked everything. I really liked watching the girls because there weren't that many back in the day. You had like probably like 3 or 4 girls that you would see like sporadically. You never knew when they were going to come on, so I'd always be really excited to see them. And then I always liked the steel cage matches and stuff when I was little too. The old school steel cages, like the blue barred ones.
Any particular reason why you decided to pursue a wrestling career when you did?
No, I had wanted to try it for a really long time, and I basically just had to save up money. So it took a while of working to be able to, like, afford to go, because I also was starting college at the time and had a bunch of different college expenses, too. So it really just took me about a year to a year and a half, 2 years to save up to be able to start going. So as soon as I had the money and I turned 18, I started.
Now that you've already gone through the training process, what was the hardest aspect of it? What did you find most difficult?
I don't know. I never thought about what was the most difficult thing about it. I guess just telling yourself that you can do it, because sometimes you psych yourself out when you don't get something on the first try. You just have to keep trying until you eventually get something. And that was probably, I guess, the hardest thing, is not getting everything the first time you try it.
You were trained by some pretty big names that are widely recognizable all over the world, such as D-Von Dudley, Ricky Vega, Eric Stevens, Matt Bentley. What was it like receiving training from all of them?
I think it was really beneficial to have worked with so many different people, because a lot of people, when they go to a wrestling school, they only have like their main trainer or like 2 trainers that they work with. And since I got to work with so many different people, I got to kind of see their different philosophies. And so to me, I think that was awesome, because I had like 4 or 5 different people that I could listen to and learn from, because everybody learns something in a different way. Everybody teaches something in a different way. So it was really cool getting to have a mixture of all of that.
What is one thing about the wrestling business that a fan just does not understand at all?
I think there's a lot of things that fans probably don't understand, because it's one of those things that I think you have to be in that position to fully understand things that go on. Because it's like, I can't understand what a doctor goes through because I'm not a doctor. So somebody that's, not trying to pursue a wrestling career isn't going to know what it's like to be in wrestling and trying to pursue a career.
As mentioned before, you're a manager in pro wrestling. How would you describe a manager's role?
Well, the manager has to obviously make their person that they're working with look good. So, I mean, a manager really just wants to win. If you're going to be a face, you're going to want to make sure the crowd gets into it and supports the person that you're working with. And if you're a bad guy, I mean, you got to win at any cost, you know. So you're going to make sure that the fans don't like you and that they're booing whoever you're working with.
You worked mainly as a heel manager, and you did some pretty questionable and brutal things to the opponents of your clients. I mean, you sprayed them in the eyes with perfume, you've choked them against the ropes, you've knocked them off the top rope, you've distracted the referee, you've punched them in the groin. How do you come up with all these tactics, and how do you know when to use them?
Well, I've also smacked a few butts, and I don't consider that to be very brutal. I don't know. You just don't ever want to do the same thing all the time, so you just try to think of things that maybe that the particular place that you're at that they haven't seen you do before, because you don't want to, every time you go out there, you know, knock somebody off the top rope or choke them, because that's going to get old, and then everybody's going to know what to expect from you. And you got to leave the referee guessing, too, because you don't want them to catch you. So, I mean, just trying to keep it fresh all the time.
So you've worked with many wrestlers and tag teams in the past, which include Kim Dakota, the Heartbreak Express, Morgan Davis, Fear, Lance Alonte. Who was your most favorite client to work with, and why?
It was really cool to get to work with a female, so working with Kim was kind of cool because it's not often that both Riley and I have gotten to manage another female. But I guess the people that I learned the most from were the Heartbreak Express, so I guess if I had to pick like my favorite, it would definitely be them because they taught me a lot of different things about wrestling.
Speaking of Riley and moving on to more recent events, you were one half of the Plastics alongside her, and the Plastics became really well known over time. Now, Riley left the wrestling industry back last September. How has this change affected you?
Well, I guess now I kind of have to try to reinvent myself because I don't want to be just Megan from the Plastics, since obviously, you know, Riley's departure has made me not be the Plastics, because I don't think a solo individual can be the Plastics, because it's plural, it's not singular, you know? So just, you know, it's really affected me just because I have to try to think of something a little bit different to set me above where I was, and to not fall back and to, you know, be worse as a solo person rather than as the duo and as the team.
Now, the Plastics are really well known, so is there a possibility of a replacement, or do you just kind of want to put the faction to rest?
I'm very open to having a replacement because I think the Plastics were something really different. Because it's not often, actually, I don't even know anybody else who ever had, like, two people out there, you know, in their corner, walking them out, you know, cheating for them. I can't think of anybody else who was like that, so I think our gimmick was really special, and so I'd be really open to finding somebody else to replace Riley, but it has to be, like, the most absolute perfect person, because it's pretty big shoes to fill, or heels to fill, shall I say.
For many females out there, it is their number one goal to make an impact in a male-dominated business. What do you think it takes for a female to do just that?
Just working really hard. There are a lot of talented females out there. And I think a lot of people just don't even give female professional wrestling a chance. So I think girls are always going to have to work a lot harder than guys are to, make a name for themselves. But there's just a lot less girls, They just have to work super hard and, have a great gimmick to have people, catch on to them, I guess.
The role of managers has kind of diminished in the eyes of the fans recently. There are a lot of great managers back in the 80s and 90s and 70s, but especially when we're talking about the female side of things, a lot of people just see female managers as eye candy. Now, I know that you want to separate yourself from the females that just stand there and do nothing, but do you think managing is a dying art in professional wrestling, like some fans say?
Definitely. You used to be able to turn on the TV and see people, other wrestlers with managers, and now, when you see them with a quote-unquote manager, it's usually like another wrestler, and it's not like something that is on all the time. It's like something that's like a one-shot, two-shot type of thing. So I think, yeah, there aren't very many managers out there anymore, and if they are, it's usually like a wrestler's girlfriend or something, and not people who really love wrestling and have trained themselves or like study wrestling to make sure that they're actually being a good manager.
So, moving on to what you're most recently doing, on your Twitter account, you announced that you would be a part of Wrestlelicious, which, for those who don't know, Jimmy Hart is actually heavily involved with that, and it's being broadcast on digital network stations all over the world. I think they recently announced that they would be broadcasting in the UK soon. So, what do you think about the Wrestlelicious product? Because it's gotten mixed responses.
Well, they have incredible female athletes that are wrestling on that show. So I think it's also giving people who wouldn't normally watch wrestling the opportunity to watch wrestling in kind of like a different perspective, because they have their little skits. And I don't think it's for the typical wrestling audience, but the typical wrestling fans that tune in are definitely gonna be able to watch some great wrestling, because those girls can definitely wrestle.
When it's all said and done and your career has run its course, what do you want to be remembered for?
Number one, my cute outfit. I guess probably just that they were entertained when they saw me, that they just had fun watching me, because at the end of the day, that's what I go out there to do. I go out there because I love wrestling, and they're there because they love wrestling, and I'm just being a manager and trying to get a response out of them. So if they enjoy doing that, that makes me happy, and I'm satisfied with that.
I have had a great time conducting this interview. How can fans keep in touch with you and keep with what you're up to, and even possibly contact you?
On my Twitter, which I'm not very good at using all of the time, but Twitter, it's at @tmegan. I think I'm probably going to be launching my own website soon, so that way it can help differentiate, me from the plastics. So they'll be able to get, I guess, my contact information off of there, like my email address, I guess MySpace still. Still that, so myspace.com/prettyprettyplastics. But yeah, just email, Twitter, everything will be up there. I don't know when I'll have the website up, but I hope to launch it within maybe the next 2 months or so.
Be sure to check back to www.wrestling.webs.com. That's wrestling followed by a hyphen, Divaz, DIVAZ, WEBS.com.
Thank you, Greg.